We go.
All right.
Hey guys, you can let us know if I know there's a delay, but let us know if you hear the sound okay and if you see things okay. And we can put up the logo.
We'll just start doing stuff here.
So, okay, yeah, my name is Mike Lasco. I'm the community manager on Team Dakota for Project Spark, and I'm here with designer Claude Rockman Jerome, or what was it? Claude Bleep Jerome. And we just wanted to have talk to you guys a little bit, and we're going to have Claude go through a little bit to kind of just show the beginning of what Project Spark is. For anybody who hasn't, seen the game before, Project Spark is basically an open world digital canvas where you can create and play and share anything that comes to your imagination. What Claude's doing right now is using some of the sculpting tools to make terrain and kind of create the world that he wants to be. In addition to that, he can go in and he can create gameplay mechanics. He can use brains and create whatever sort of behavior in the game that he wants. There's lots of other cool little aspects to the game, such as the biomes where you can just paint and it intelligently puts things down. And it's a pretty cool and exciting game that I think you guys are going to find really exciting. We've been looking at a lot of the community stuff, and maybe we'll even do that a little bit at the end of this stream. And the folks that have been in our alpha are making really awesome stuff, so we're super excited about that.
That's right, as always.
So why don't you give a little more detailed blurb of what you're doing here? See if you can do the 25-second version.
Yeah. So I've basically just been sculpting a world really quick to just kind of show how powerful the tools are and how quickly you can make impactful choices. So I made a character in an empty world, started sculpting out with these really simple tools. And now I'll jump in and start playing already because the character already has a brain on him that tells him exactly how he should behave. So it has controls, it has UI, a camera, everything you expect from a normal game, and I can just jump right in and test it with my new little goblin friend here and run around this world that I just made. You can run, jump, attack, you can shoot fireballs, you can swim, all this kind of baked-in behavior that you can modify and tweak to make your own kind of game.
You have it.
So, from here you can basically go right back into edit and change anything that you've already slapped together. So I can change what it looks like, I can change the gameplay, I can go into this brain and add more stuff, or I can use like a default brain from one of these characters, and like I'll use this ranger for instance. This ranger has a default brain that tells him, or he can have a default brain, and I'll go ahead and pick one. So this is the brain library. This is where you can go ahead and find what brains that we've already built for you or brains that you've built on your own in the past. So I'll pick this follower ranger, and this is sort of a brain that's like an NPC that follows you around and helps you out. And you can go through and read this and use it as a frame of reference to kind of start making your own stuff. But for starters, it's just kind of a good gameplay tool to just start messing around with. So I can go up to him and he'll kind of have his little prompt to action here. I can have him follow me around. If he finds the enemies, he'll be like my combat buddy. Oh, he got me.
Whoa! What happened there?
I forgot that by default we consider enemies or goblins enemies, so he kind of just betrayed me a little bit. But that's okay. We can always modify that kind of gameplay.
It's just the hard road that goblins have to deal with in every aspect of life.
Sometimes you got to start one of these streams off with a nice little betrayal scene. So,
so cool. Yeah, I mean, people asking about beta. We were going to have, I think I mentioned in past streams, we've had like the sickness has been sweeping through the team. I think, Henry's trying to make it. I don't know if he's going to make it in time for the stream, but he's been sick and there's been kind of a lot of stuff going on. So we're not going to be able to like kind of go into as much detail and stuff that we want. But I will say, like, as far as the beta goes, we're getting very close. We don't have a specific date that we can give you yet, and I don't know when we're going to be able to give that to you. We're kind of going week to week. Team's kind of working really hard, just kind of putting on the final touches, getting everything going there. Is it, I think, if we could say that October, if we call that Octovember, and if we, as Mike Jacob always likes to say, well, no, people misheard us. We said Octovember. So, I just don't want anybody, don't take any vacation or quit your jobs or something on October 30th because I don't want you guys making all kinds of plans on that stuff. So, but we're going to be giving you guys more information as we go. We're just trying to figure out exactly when. We're going to make sure everything's, you know, the final touches, everything's stable, everything's going good, the services are running and all that stuff. But we're getting close, and it should be there soon. So good news there.
So this will teach my backstabbing friend here. I just made it so when I bump this ranger, I equip him, and now I can throw him across the river here. Get him out of here. Tired of this guy. Oh, I'll just do it again. So I could go ahead and modify that, make it an even bigger toss or something. But
so there you go. That's Claude. That's how Claude deals with adversity. He's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to put you in for you. So yeah, okay. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to kind of see if we could do a little puzzle game. Claude's always, you know, he's a puzzle master, so he's always thinking about the puzzles.
Yeah, I was talking to Henry about what we could do on the stream, and we were just talking about what kind of levels people asked about and like want to see. So we talked about doing a quick puzzle game, and I don't have too much time today. I mean, I don't have a lot of time to prep with all the rush to get our beta done here. So I figured I'd show off a mechanic that I built before again. This is sort of what I call the sneaky goblin mechanic. This is an empty world, so it doesn't look too exciting yet. I like to kind of jam on mechanics in empty worlds so I don't have any other like things in my way distracting me, so you'll tend to see that in my levels a lot. But I'll go ahead and just start and show you what's going on here. So I call it a sneaky goblin mechanic because you'll see all these barrels here, and all these barrels seem all like normal, and it's kind of randomly placing them as well, so they're kind of clipping sometimes. But when you move your left stick, you get a goblin that's just sneaking around the barrel.
That's great.
And he sneaks back down. And all these other barrels seem like they're just there for cloaking, but they actually have other goblins in them.
Of course.
I can actually make a little trail of goblins. And they'll actually just come follow me along. So I can make a little game out of this, like where I'm trying to like sneak out of a prison or something with my fellow goblins. And I can go into how this works as well, if anybody's curious too.
That's pretty funny.
This is just something I was jamming on one time, because I like the goblins, and the barrels fit them pretty well, so...
That's, you know, because you just expect, like, that's totally something I would expect a goblin to do.
Yeah,
like,
pretty
I can
much.
just totally see them doing that.
So just for those who are curious, I'll just go ahead and piece this apart one by one so you can just see how it works. So for starters, the reason that this world's empty, but when I started, there's barrels everywhere, is because I'm using sort of this logic cube here to spawn the barrels like dynamically, so I don't have to actually place them one by one. So I'll go into the brain for this logic cube, and you'll see is once for each of 10, and what that means is, or I'll just go over the brain structure really quick for anybody that's new here. The way the brains work is it's a really simple when and do structure. So any brain you'll see like the same setup here, where it says when something happens, do something else. So in this case, it's saying when once, do something. And then there's an indented rule, which means that it's when this first line happens, the second one will happen as well. So in this case, it's saying when for each of 10, which just means do something 10 times, it's going to create a goblin bruiser. And it'll do that. It's some logic here about where to place it. And for those who are a little bit more familiar with the stream, they'll probably pick up how that works. But basically, it's just spawning 10 goblins in like random positions. So that's how that works. And then the goblins that it's using are all kind of scripted like this, where they have, and I won't go through the super detail, I guess, but you can just see it like at a glance. But they're basically all just positioning this barrel on top of the goblin, like based on if he's moving or not. So if he's moving, it kind of like slides it up, like he's picking it up, and then when he's not moving, it slowly slides it back down. So it's kind of give the illusion that he's like.
So you don't have to actually do that. It's just whenever he moves, he just automatically picks it up, because that's the only way you can move a barrel with it inside it.
Yeah, he's not actually holding it. It's just like moving up and down, creating the illusion. But like really generally, we just to explain a little bit more about how it works is we expose like for any character like information about their really important points on their body, like their head and their hands and their feet. So I'm positioning this barrel on his head with a little bit of an offset based on whether or not he's moving. So that's basically it. So now I actually scripted in here as well a little bit of a thing here just to ask if he's hidden, so that way we can have another character do something if he's hidden. So I'll take this let's get an enemy in here. Let's go ahead and grab like troll. Trolls seem like good enemies. Now this troll already has a brain. He's gonna look for the nearest player. So let's just delete this brain and do this from scratch here. Oops. Looks like we might have a little issue. There we go. This is a work in progress build here. This is the Gamescom build we had here, so occasionally run into some bumps. Oops, this is one song. No, I guess not. Okay, so I was gonna make an enemy really quick. So just go ahead.
What did you do?
It just crashed, so I just had to restart it.
Man, that was so I didn't even notice.
Yeah. Shouldn't have said anything then, I guess.
I know, right? It'd just be like, doo-doo-doo, meant to do that, ha ha ha.
So, when this troll detects a player, which is going to be the goblin in this case, or any of the, or we'll just go ahead and say goblin, so that way it's more direct for our gameplay here. So when he detects a goblin, he's going to check if that goblin is hidden. So I can actually, this is another feature we have now. So with Project Spark, since it runs on Windows 8, Xbox 360, and Xbox One, we offer controls on keyboard, mouse, and controller. So I'm just kind of mixing it up right now. I just typed in the tile picker to search for a tile that I already knew about, and just kind of pops up really quickly. So that's kind of just showing how you can mix the inputs up to get some interesting workflow here. So if I detect a goblin and it's not hidden, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to do it this way. There we go. If it's not hidden, then I want to move towards it. And it'll move pretty fast because this guy's on like patrol duty here. So we'll just slap down 2 here. 2 in this context means that it's like twice as fast. So let's go ahead and try this out. So that goblin was moving for a second. So he caught him. But now if I move like this, he should chase me. Or not. Oh, he's chasing the other goblin here, so I'll have to just fix that logic up a little bit. So let's just start him over here really quick. And I'll simplify my little level here so I can just know exactly how this is working from the start. And if anybody has any questions and stuff, feel free to ask about them here. So
they want to know what you're going to be showing on the stream on the Friday edition.
I don't know. That's a good question. What do you guys want to see?
Yeah, what do you guys want to see? Pretty soon, you know, with all the great stuff they're creating in Alpha, pretty soon that's going to be the stream. I think it's just going to be showing what they've created. So it has, you know, so much cool stuff, and it's like you can just spend all day just kind of going through and looking at stuff. And I love it. Like, and people on the team are like, "Oh, hey, check this out." Like Henry, I don't know how Henry has time to like do everything he does, but he'll be like, "Oh, this level's great," and this, and I'm like, I don't have time to look at all these levels. How do you do all this?
So we'll just do this turn.
So yeah, later this week we're doing a stream on Thursday at noon PDT, and we're also doing a stream on Friday at not at noon PDT, at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and we're also doing one on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. Why? Because you can never have too many streams. Is my answer.
So this is sort of a really rough pass at some wandering logic here. So it's basically saying when he detects a goblin, he's going to see if it's hidden and he's going to move towards it. Otherwise, that's what this else here is for. Every so often he'll look in a random direction, but he's generally just going to keep moving around really slowly. So it'll make him move really slow too. Maybe like that slow. I'll move him kind of far because it's picking me up really fast. So I guess that didn't work. So let's figure this out here. Or we can just try something else. Let's just try. Let's try and simplify this a little bit. Get some cool behavior right away.
I have to keep typing in chat what I'm trying to say and messing up. So I'm like, oh, sorry. Clarify.
Let's just do this, yeah.
You want to see animation Friday. So
what kind of animation?
Well, you know, we've got some cool stuff in the animation system. The problem is that we, you know, the build, you know, we're just now getting to the point where we have a really good, stable build, and we want something that isn't going to, you know, crash every 3 minutes on you guys. So
Yeah.
and that's kind of where the thing is. Where now that we're no longer adding any features and everything, that, you know, we're going to be getting better. So hopefully any day, but each day we look at the build, and if there's a problem, well, then, you know, we get to see what the next day's build is. So. And that's why we usually go to the Gamescom or the PAX or the E3 builds, because these are ones that the team stopped everything. They focused on testing and fixing all this build to make sure everything's going smooth, and created that build and had that separate from everything else, and then, you know, branch that off, and then they start going again on something else. So we have these little sort of segments in time. And that's why, like, people are asking, hey, well, just release the beta now and update it in a week. And there is a real big process that goes into kind of that testing and making sure everything's tied off and all these things. It's like a big, you know, it's kind of like, you know, imagine if you wanted to move into your house when they were still constructing it. You get the plumber in there doing the plumbing, and you get the guy, the windows, only half the windows are there, and there are tools lying around, and, you know, that wouldn't be a really great experience. So what you need to do is have some people go in and clear off the sawdust and move all the boards and tools out of the way and everything else to make it livable. And that's kind of what happens with, you know, when we get to prepare a build there.
So I kept messing up that last level, so I'm just going to go ahead and try something new from scratch here. One of the things that came up puzzle-related during another demo I did was portal gun. And I know that's come up a couple of times in the chat as well. So I was going to see if I could jam on a portal gun with you guys to show you, like, a couple of different ways you could do that are really simple. So I just generated a new world, I have a new hero here, and one of the things that we offer, as well as default brains on objects, is default assemblies. An assembly is just basically like a collection of stuff that we think is really, like, cool or really fun to use that you can bring between levels and save out. So, like, that can be anything from, like, something that's beautiful, like a couple of pieces of art that are just, like, jammed together that are kind of cool, like this. You can just kind of steal that between levels or whatever and place that into your new level. But sometimes those are also pieces of functionality. I'm going somewhere with this, trust me. So sometimes there are things like seal, like a seal here, which is just like the behavior of a seal. It's something that just, like, dances around, looks for other seal buddies. And sometimes there are also things that we think that people are going to use in a lot of different games. So we have, like, arenas, timed objectives, stuff like that, like rotating platforms, things that people are basically going to find useful for a lot of different game types. So one of those is, where is it? The starter teleporter. So that one is really interesting. So if I just slap this down, you can see how it works already. So there's two pieces. If you bump into one, it'll transport you to the other. So let's just try it out really quick. So I'll put this other piece over here, and let's go ahead and test that. So if I go over here, press B, I'm over here now. I can press that, back and forth. So that's like the start of what you can start to, you can remix this and make a billion different things. You could place multiple packages of these, you could have some other conditions to them, you could power them on based on, like, a key or, like, a switch or something like that if you want to make it, like, an interesting puzzle room, something like Zelda or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and remix this to kind of make it something that you can shoot out, like a projectile or something. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So let's go ahead. If anybody has any questions or anything, want to see something else related to what I'm talking about, feel free. This is kind of a free-form thing, so I'm going to start by...
Could you build giant climbable bosses?
You can build bosses that have some pretty interesting collisions, so you can try and climb them. It's gonna, I imagine you're referencing, like, Shadow of the Colossus here.
Right.
There's gonna be a ton of different options for you to, like...
I'm just trying to think conceptually how you would do... I mean, I imagine it's doable, but I'm trying to think about, like...
Well, the way I mean, I think everybody's gonna think about it a little differently, right? So,
that's
with
awesome.
something like this all has collision on it that's gonna scale with the object. So, like, all objects in our game have that, so I can make this bigger and start to slam them together like that or something, to start to make, like, pieces of a robot or something, or pieces of a giant boss. And this all has collision on it, so I can actually scale this if I wanted to. It's going to take a lot of tweaking and a lot of figuring out to see, like, what's going to be a fun platform that's, like, that communicates how you climb it, you know. But it's possible. It's just something that takes a lot of, like, fine tuning, you know. So I could do that, but it'd be really just really, like,
Well,
poorly put
I don't
together
think,
right now.
I don't
So
think you're doing live, but
Yeah.
I was just kind of conceptually, I was like, how would you do
yeah,
that?
I mean, and since you can take objects like this and attach them, like I can attach this to my character here, and now when I go into test, it'll actually move with them. I went into first person, by the way, so let me turn that back off.
So-
Yeah,
Take our word for it. If
Yeah.
we're with them, you can trust us.
let me just put that back to follow cam or something here. Follow. So now this piece will actually move with me. So, like I said, it'll take some fine tuning. You can actually have it attached in a way that dampens the movement that it follows with the character, or if you don't want it to follow at all, you can do that. So you can have some like stationary platforms that follow the character in a way that lets you.
Well, that's
have
what they were
another-
saying. Like you could have some invisible platforms around
Yeah,
them that
exactly.
you could stand on and stuff. So
Yeah, like I can just yeah, I can continue to show something like that, but it'll be really like.
I don't know. Go ahead and do the portal thing, but it was just kind
Yeah,
of
let's-
interesting. I love how they were coming up with ideas, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
no,
yeah,
it's
the
cool.
invisible platforms. I didn't think about that.
So I'll just keep jamming on this portal thing, and if anybody else has any quick questions I can answer or show a little bit more information about, feel free.
Just proving there's more than one way to skin a cat.
For sure.
More than one way to skin a squirrel.
So this first person default brain that I just picked up, it has a gun, shoots some grenades, just like the kind of typical first person stuff you can do. But I can go ahead and remix this brain so that it will, instead of shooting like crossbow bolts like it's doing right now, I'll shoot these portals, and then it'll still kind of work the same way. So let's go ahead and change that up really quick. So I go into this brain, and the way it works is it says there's a first person camera, it's putting a crosshair on the screen, there's a health meter, when left stick move, when A press jump. Some really simple stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and start modifying it. I'm going to get rid of these two lines. So now I'll get rid of this too. So now I got right trigger and left trigger, and I'll go in here and I'll say when I hit the right trigger, I'll shoot. Or I'm actually gonna throw, which sounds weird, but it'll make sense in a second. I'm gonna throw, and I'll pick one of these teleporters, and we'll keep it simple like that first. So when you're building games, for a while you start to get into this trend of like fast iteration loops. Even if you have a fairly clear picture in your head of what you want to build, it's really helpful to kind of take like baby steps along the way, just so you can see if you find something else that's cool or find something else that's interesting to do along the way, and kind of find like what problems you're going to need to solve. So right now I'm just taking little small steps so I can iterate with you guys, and you can see like how it works and what we might want to do to make it better. So I copy pasted this line, so let me just change this. Okay, so now I'm throwing teleporter A and throw teleporter B on left trigger. So let's try that. So now, if I hit the right trigger, whoop, that one sits there, it's flipping around, that's going to probably cause its own problems, but we'll see. Okay, so now I can hit this. Oh, I got rid of my interact line here, so let me change something here. So this was based on interaction before. So what I can do now is I can say so this before this brain for the teleporter asked about, like, it had a little B prompt over the object, so I could walk up to it and press B. So I'm changing that up so it feels a little bit more like Portal. So instead of when interacted, I'm going to change this line to say when I bump a player. And I'll put one more thing in front of this. I'm going to say when I start to bump a player. So that way it'll only happen the first time the player bumps the teleporter.
Oh, okay. Otherwise, you should be.
And then it'll say it'll move the character, it'll teleport them, all that kind of stuff. Okay.
So for those just joining, this is Project Spark. This is basically an open world digital canvas where you can create your own game. You can sculpt your own world and immediately hit a button, go in and test it, run around in it, and you can create whatever gameplay mechanics you want. And Claude just kind of diving a little deep. People were asking if you could make something like Portal, and so he's like, hey, yeah, I can just do this right now. So he's just kind of throwing down some things and showing that he can use that to kind of teleport around. And
there we go. Okay, cool. So now I got one part of the portal working, so I gotta get both of them working now. So if I go up to this one, it'll throw me. It's actually kind of hard to tell what's happening right now, so I'm actually going to switch this to first person, this camera to third person, so I can just see what's happening a little bit better.
So somebody was asking how did you guys make the the fireball or the meteor hit the ground and deform the terrain?
Which meteor? Oh, and
Well, I think we've shown it
just
a
in general,
million
yeah,
times, but
yeah. So that question kind of generally is about what kind of dynamic terrain options we have. Let me just try this really quick. There we go.
Nice.
So like we have a really dynamic like sculpting engine that lets you create this terrain while you're in the create mode, but you can also do that while the game is running too. So there's some options, and I'll just show you the tiles. There's some options in Brains to let you actually modify the terrain while the game is running. So I can actually say like subtract terrain or something when I press. Let's just go ahead and hook that up. When I press like the right bumper, and what that'll do is now when I go and test, hit this right bumper, it'll start to remove terrain around me and under me. So you can use that in game to make like really interesting stuff. So like with the comet or missile, you can have the missile like look for when it hits the ground, and when it hits the ground, it plays some explosion effects and actually removes the terrain under it to help you make it feel like a really like powerful explosion. So this is kind of cool.
This is funny.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost there here. Let's see. So now, when it starts to multiplayer, it'll teleport them. I tried to do the throw thing earlier. That didn't seem to work out, but I'll try that again a little bit differently. But let's just hook up both these brains to be the same. Okay, so now when I hit either of these portals, it should allow me to teleport. So, oh, that was weird. Okay, so that was happening because when I threw this object, or when I touch one of them, I'm gonna keep touching the other one, like each time, like right away. So it's like sort of like
right.
zipping back and forth really quickly and like making someone throw up probably. But we can change that. That's easy. So there's a couple ways to solve this. I'm gonna solve it the lazy man way, and let's just move this here for a second. And
So,
again, if
like-
anybody has any questions, let me know.
Yeah, well, one of the questions, I mean, they're just kind of talking theory, but like, creating like a shopkeeper that does that. And we've seen that in a lot of games where people have had, NPCs that you can purchase things from or you can buy stuff. And really, you can put in anything like that in here. I don't think we don't have a shortcut NPC that does that yet. I know it's on the list, and I don't know how far along that is. I won't put Claude on the spot and ask him. 'Cause he
What was that
probably
question,
knows.
sir?
So they're just saying like the shopkeeper, right? That's one of the things that people come to mind. Like, okay, well, great. So could I put a shopkeeper in there that will sell me different weapons based on how many coins I've collected in the
Yeah,
game?
so we have a different mode of the game called Crossroads, and that is a mode that's sort of set up to feel like a traditional game that you've played in other like context, and it has stuff like that in it, like a different type of economy like systems where you can collect coins and you can buy things from shopkeep, sell things to them, and those are there not only to make it feel like a game, but as an example for how you can build them. So when you're playing Crossroads, you can actually go and edit it, see exactly how that works, or you can just like kind of pull it out and you put it in your own level. We also have starter assemblies that like this portal, for instance, that kind of teach you how to do stuff like that. So you can build stuff like that too. They have a lot of quests and things like that as well. So for those who want to make kill X number of boars or whatever, or like escort quests or anything like that, like those are already kind of built for you, and you can just pull them out of the gallery and use them. So I'm going to try this now. So I'm going to make the teleporter make the receiving end throw the player so that when he gets there, he's not immediately bumping it. He's just like getting thrown, basically. Oops, that's somehow it's doing damage right now. Sorry, let me fix that too.
Yeah, so when Project Spark is out and when the beta starts, there's going to be levels there that are already created that you can try out. And really a really cool aspect of the game that we're hoping, and we're starting to see this, is you're going to be able to play what everybody else in the community is creating. And I tell you, after looking at what some of our fans that are in the alpha have created, I'm almost worried that poor guys like Claude are going to be out of a job because these guys are making such awesome stuff.
We love watching whatever you guys are making because it's teaching us how people are using our tools and how we can actually improve them as well. So like just being a building like not only helps the new users like learn how to build stuff from you, but it's also teaching us how we can improve our tools so people can just jump in right away and like get the magical experience that's closer to what they want. So. Okay, so now I'm going to try something else here. That still didn't quite work. That's weird. Oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. We're going to just simplify this one again, too. Okay. So I need this to happen.
So locking levels, they're asking about. We have this whole lineage system that we want to. We're just waiting until it's in the game enough that we can really give you a real good look at it. And we want to explain that, how it works in its kind of entirety. And then we want to see what you guys think about that. My hope is that you'll see that and say, oh, okay, this is great. Anything I make gives me all kinds of credit and rewards and stuff for that if somebody uses it, so that you're actually going to want to create stuff that other people use, whether it's just a brain or an assembly or your entire level. So when it comes to level locking, I mean we're gonna talk to the community and hear what you guys think about it. But to really have that conversation, we need to be able to show you guys what we have in place and how it's going to work. And then you guys can kind of make some informed, give us some informed feedback on that.
Yeah, and with level locking, like there's a lot of really interesting like philosophy behind that. Like what happens to your creation if you put it out there? If you don't want people to mess around with what you've made, and you don't want people to change what you've made, or there's sort of like a holistic element to like how you've decided to share your worlds out there, but like we don't want to step on what you want to share with the world, but we want to give you an option to learn and teach each other and sort of build an open source community, like potentially too. So we want to see what people do with having levels be open as well. So like just basically keep an open mind as well about this kind of thing.
Yeah, and the thing to understand is that when you create a level, nobody can change your level, right? I had somebody ask me this, like, well, what if I made the level for my daughter and then somebody went in and put in something inappropriate, and that just made me go, wow, I'm doing a bad job at the messaging here. You create a level, that level is there. Nobody can ever change that level or do anything. That's your level. You have it forever until you decide to delete it. That level is there. What people can do is make their own copy of that level, and they can change it, and they can put that up. But when they do, it's going to give you credit for what you created, and they only get credit based on how much they change. So the original creator gets the lion's share of the creation. So they'll never change your level, so you don't have to worry about that. It's just that they may take your level and make it different, or make it better, or make it worse. Or one example I love to use is that somebody, I don't know if it was Henry who created Blackjack, but they created this really cool Blackjack game. And playing it, and somebody went in and added like a table and just did little things to remix it and make it look cool. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that's a little bit better. And then somebody else went in and remixed it, only instead of making it better, he added a goblin. And all the goblin does is stand at the table, and when you're playing, he heckles you and says, you need 21 to win, right? And just gives you bad advice while you're playing. And it was completely hilarious and a real good example of like remixing. People might just do kind of fun or interesting things.
Yeah, and like I said at the start, a lot of times my levels tend to be these like open or empty world things with like a mechanic or two in them, and I kind of do that because I know the benefits that come out of sharing my level out there. Someone else might find the mechanic cool and they might want to make level out of it, or they might just want to like add some beautiful like scenery to it to make it a little more interesting to play around in. So that kind of thing is just like showing how you can utilize the world being able to like look into your level and help you remix it. To make your levels feel a little bit cooler and like more communal, I guess.
And the question people are like, well, what's the point of getting credit? And that's where we get into something that we're not yet able to announce, but we're going to be announcing soon. there's going to be lots of reasons. Like, really, that's our job, is to give you guys the incentive to want, like, we think that's what makes Project Spark succeed, is if you want to create something and you want people to use it, right? You want people to do stuff, because then everybody makes the best stuff. So we're going to have a system that we think is going to do an awesome job of incentivizing you guys to want to do that and want to see that. And we're going to be talking about that very, very soon. But we're gonna make sure we have the whole system together, and we can kind of show that and explain that.
So right now I'm just building another thing, just because I ran into a couple of other issues with the portal gun, but I figured this is another cool mechanic that you can kind of see that shows how you use different, like a couple of different elements in a really simple way to make something really powerful and impactful. So I'll explain it in a moment here. Just want to get one part of it hooked up here. Let's see. And if anybody has any other questions as well, just feel free to toss them out. We can kind of play and talk.
Well, see, good question. Do you advise people to share their level game as they build it, or to wait to share it? We want people to share it, as soon, really we want people to share it as soon as they do something. But, and I can speak to it being, sort of the non-designer looking at these guys. These guys, too, don't want to have anybody look at their stuff until it's done and it's perfect. So it's really kind of that sort of balance that you need to do. You want to make something awesome, and you want people to be out there talking about it. You want your name. You want to be, you want to become one of the best-known creators. And we're definitely going to do, we're going to really publicize the top creators, the people that are making the stuff that gets the most usage, gets the most downloads. So you definitely want to do that. You want to get that opinion out. But then again, you don't want to wait forever, right? It's one of those tough things that game developers deal with. It's like, well, when do you put your game out? When do you put your beta out? How perfect is perfect? How good is good enough for that? So I think it's really kind of an interesting sort of discussion. It'll be cool to see. I know some of the alpha testers that we've seen really had been super hesitant about sharing some stuff until they felt it was ready, or waiting, and and I'm kind of like, hey, you're an alpha guy, share something. I went to bat to get you in, show some stuff so the team can say, oh wow, people are learning and making stuff. But it's good. Like, we've been getting a lot of good stuff, and I think it's important to kind of share your stuff at the right time. Looking at some of the other questions here. Downloadable special ideas like The Sims, marketplace, things like that. I think that's something that we'll be getting into probably in the upcoming weeks here. We'll be talking. We got a lot more information. We have a lot of good stuff coming up that we're going to be announcing and sharing with you guys. We're just trying to make sure that we have it in a form in the game that we can show it to you guys and really give you the big picture. So a lot of good stuff are coming. Is it possible to divide by zero? That phrase has no effect on me because I'm not a programmer. If there was a programmer here, they'd go, ah!
Yeah. But stuff like that, we don't want. We want to limit how much you can hurt yourself, how much you can shoot yourself in the foot. So that won't end. You can divide by zero, but it won't end in anything that's tragic. So we'll watch for that kind of stuff as well, and under the hood, to make sure that nothing unfavorable happens there. So
custom characters out of props and custom movements. So at E3, we showed the giant rock mech that was put together just for props. I mean, we have a lot of things. Our alpha testers have showed up a lot on Facebook and Twitter, as well as on our stream, where they've just put together some great things. And you're absolutely going to be able to add animations to these things. We've got more than one way that you'll be able to do it, and as soon as we get a good version of that we can show, maybe even this week, we're going to show that off, and I think that's going to blow you guys away and really have you start thinking about the possibilities.
So right now I'm doing some dynamic terrain operations here, and with any of the terrain things that add terrain, or remove them even, or paint them, you can actually choose which material you want by going into here, and it'll actually show you all the materials that are loaded onto your current level. So I can pick this desert material, and now when I shoot out this little fireball thing, it'll actually create that as well with the desert material. What I was trying to do is trying to have it grow over time, but that doesn't seem to be working for some reason. but that's okay. So let's see. So now what we'll do is.
So a couple other questions here. I'm just going to try to rattle these. I
Sure.
just answer them. I'm not asking you to try to make it.
Yeah.
But they asked if you can make have different parts of a level have different change the gravity.
Mm.
And since I know, and tell me if my logic's right here.
Sure.
So I know that you can change the gravity on props and on objects on characters. So if that was the case, I would just say, okay, when I go to this area, set my character's gravity to a lower amount.
Yeah. So
And then I would now be bouncing around like this is the the Mars side of the area.
So we get a lot of questions like that in general that are just kind of like, can I trigger something to change the way my gameplay works based on where I am, or what? Like when I do something, when I collect enough things. So like the ease of use here is in how this like brain structure works is allowing you to do that really simply. So when I go on the do side here, I get a bunch of actions I can do. And a lot of those actions are like related to modifying how my character moves or works. So those are under movement, and a lot of them are also related to physics. So under physics, there's stuff like gravity, which you can just go ahead and set. Like you can set a value to it. That value can be something that you can change dynamically based on what happens on the when side. So I could say my gravity is 2 when I detect something, or when I'm in the trigger zone of something. So I can already go ahead and set up like different trigger volumes in my world,
Right.
and when I walk into those, my gravity changes or something like that. So that's basically how you'd set that up. So
Yeah, so absolutely. So that's it's a good question, but again, it's pretty cool to be able to you can it's really about figuring out the ways you can do stuff. There's such a diverse tool set here that you can do pretty much anything. Let's see. I'm looking at some of these other questions. I had another good one, but now I forgot it. It's because people are chatting so much today.
guys need to slow down for Mike.
I know. I just can't read that fast.
If I can figure out what's happening here.
Oh, so somebody was asking a question about basically teleporting, and that's what we were just showing. Yeah, absolutely. You can teleport from one section of a level to another. And even with level linking, you could teleport from this level right into another one. So with that sort of idea, you can have campaigns, and you could make basically we call it infinite worlds. You could just have a game that goes on forever. Hey, what was that?
Yeah, I was messing something up there. So I was just trying to make this thing grow over time for a while there, and I realized that I was shooting it, and when it hit the ground, it exploded. So I just had to make it so it wouldn't explode when it hit the ground. But there you go. That's that working finally. So let me go ahead and get rid of some of that debug thing there. And we can make that happen a little faster.
If you share someone takes your world and makes something bad out of it, can you choose not to be credited for that? That is a good question. I don't think we've thought of that.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly the kind of stuff that we want to like find out. Like we want to see what people think and see what happens in the community and in practical and execution.
Yeah, and this is a good example of like why we have a beta, and and this is really like I guess it's a diverse team, but I think a lot of the team are used to making console games where you make the game and you make it perfect and then it's finished and it's done and that's all it is. Where we know that Project Spark can't be like that. This has to be an ever-living, ever-growing game, and that's why we're working so hard to get the beta done, so that we need you folks to get in and take a look and see, because we don't know. We make some guesses, and there's some smart guys on the team. Maybe none of us in this room, but there are some. I hear there's some smart
Definitely
guys.
not in this room.
But we're gonna see what comes out of it, and even just what we've seen with the alpha has been great. It's been really reaffirming a lot of the stuff we believe, but there's also been some stuff that was just like, wow, I never thought of that, or geez, I didn't even think that this would be something people would talk about. So that's cool.
So I'm just kind of doing a really complicated thing here, so I'm going to explain that in a second. So I'm trying to make it so that now I can create something at the top of that little hill I made, and this kind of stuff will get easier over time, but since this is an old build, you kind of see some more complicated things. But basically, just trying to create something at the top of this little peak here. So let's see. So now I need to pick what I want to create. So I'll pick anvil, sure. Let's do that once. Let's see what that looks like. speed up that fireball at some point. There we go. Got me a little anvil. So now I can change that to be something else if I wanted it to. Make that some gameplay related stuff. Maybe I can randomize the little heights here so I can have a little platformer I can basically build. Or here, let's try that actually. That's kind of cool. So let me change this brain up a little.
I think you mean parish, not parish. Or maybe they'll turn into a parish. I don't know.
Okay, so now I have a character I can run. I'm gonna hit Y, he throws this little thing, and I can. Oh, I probably need to stand on that thing, huh? Let's probably tune that height a little bit so I can actually get up on those.
That's pretty neat.
Let's try like 6. So all these units are actually in meters rather. So I can go and look at. So if you're really fine tuning your platforming gameplay, like as a designer, you can go in and look at your jump height, and your jump height's actually in meters as well. So if I wanted to like actually tune up like a really tightly tuned level for platforming, I can actually use something we have, which is the ruler, to like measure out my level actually. So I can use that to see like, and this is actually invisible by default, so you can have these laid out throughout your whole level, so you can actually see like jump distances and kind of figure out where everything belongs basically.
I totally missed it here, and I've seen the ruler on here now. I'm like, oh, look, neat.
Actually stack this probably. There we go. I make this little staircase here.
So multiplayer is another thing. I know the people that have been on the streams before that, we said we're going to be sharing more information in the future on it. Obviously at E3 we announced and demoed that there would be multiplayer, but we didn't want to go into details until number one, we knew exactly what we could pull off, and two, till we could tell you the full story, so you understand what does that really mean. But suffice to say, every question everybody's asking about multiplayer, we know it's important. We know why it's important. We all play all those games out there. We're definitely a team of gamers, so we definitely get what you're saying, and we know why, and we know what that means, and it's definitely a focus for us. And hopefully, in the near term, we're gonna have a lot of good announcements coming up pretty soon. So that'll be pretty interesting. Can't wait to start talking about that.
So now I'm just kind of, again, just throwing random stuff together. So if you have any other specific things you want to see or know about, or
they want to throw an anvil up.
Oh, we can throw the anvil up. I just want to try this bird thing out to see if this actually work out. Probably won't. So there we go. Yeah, let's change this up so he actually throws the anvil instead, and I'll make that loop so he actually throws more than one. It's kind of fun.
So El Camino had a great question, he's like, how much do we know? Is this just the tip of the iceberg? And, I think, and you guys have seen kind of the very, very core experience, but it's really interesting, like what we showed at E3 and what we've announced is really just such a tiny aspect of what Project Spark all up is and what we have planned. So, we may have done too good of a job of, kind of showing, selling that and telling you guys what it is. Hey, that's great.
Kind of funny. Oh, you killed one of them. Nice. So that's kind of what I mean about the fast iteration loops, like what you kind of learn from that. You'll see like other things that are kind of fun to do, like maybe when this goblin hit the other goblin, I learned some emerging gameplay I get from that.
Yeah, as far as designing HUDs and stuff, a good example, if you look at the Swan Song stream that we did, Rusty developed his entire own HUD for that game that shows his character's level, his, current, he had the attack interface and all kinds of great stuff there. So definitely you can do that, and you can really kind of create almost anything. It's really neat in that regard. Just some things take a little more work than others, and really a big portion of the team is focused on shortcuts to create the things that we think people are going to want. Like, say, hey, the shopkeeper, or, hey, a third-person brain. Well, yeah, we know people are going to want that, so we've put that in. So we're putting in kind of the shortcuts to help with that stuff.
So now I'm going to make these anvils explode when they hit the ground as well. So then they'll explode into something else. So it'll be kind of fun. Let's see. I'll make them play a couple effects. I'm gonna do add positions so that they, this is for just some kind of fine tuning here, but basically it's just so that they spawn into the place I want them to. And then I'll do this for each of maybe 5. I'll create some squirrels. Alright, let's try that out. I should probably also get rid of this guy.
So the question about like 2D images. So it was really interesting in Rusty. Like one of the really cool aspects was in his level he had this painting on the wall of this sort of, you just, you know, and he never really explained it, but it looked like it was this kind of king goblin or something. And you know, afterwards we went in and I was like, hey, how did you make it? And it looks like it's just this goblin painting. It wasn't really a goblin painting. It was actually a goblin in the wall that was set. His time was set to 0, so he couldn't move, and that's how he did the painting. So it's really interesting when.
One of the super cool things we offer you is time factor, which is what Mike was just talking about. And the way that works is basically it's like how quickly your character will animate and do like sort of his actions, like his high-level gameplay actions. So you can make that like fast or slow, and Rusty slowed it down all the way to 0, so the character was frozen and kind of made him a statue basically. So that's kind of a cool way to mess with stuff in a way that's unintended. Speaking of unintended, so that was kind of cool. I'm gonna see if I can get these squirrels to be a little bit more interesting too. Let's make our world a little interesting. So right now this goblin is throwing an anvil. When the anvil hits the ground, it explodes, and when the anvil explodes, it spawns squirrels. So now I'm gonna make the squirrels do something else as well. So just kind of chain things off of each other. How about we make them paint? Let's make the world a little bit pretty. So this is the squirrel I'll use. So I'll template him so he can be copied, and then reference that copy. Okay. So let's see what this looks like. Boom. Squirrels everywhere, and now grass suddenly. And there, now I don't have to paint my world. I can just kind of make a little, like a couple of goblins.
Great.
Pay the goblins to do it for me.
So that's all about finding ways to paint his world. I think he hates painting. I don't know. Yeah,
I'm just a lazy guy.
Traumatic painting, finger painting incident in preschool, and ever since then he's just not wanted to paint.
Yeah, it had something to do with goblins throwing animals at each other. So.
Yeah, sounds like my childhood too. But yeah, no, that's very cool. All right, guys. I think we've already gone through an hour. It felt like 10 minutes here.
Yeah.
Just on that note, so go to the website and sign up for beta if you haven't. It's www.projectspark.com, and you can go there and sign up. And we'll initially be doing only a few people in the beta just to make sure to test our system. But our goal is to get everybody in. So we want to have. I want to see 2 million people in creating stuff. We can't have enough creators because the more people that are creating awesome stuff, just the better the overall experience is going to be for all of us, for everybody who wants to come in and play and create and stuff. So check that out. We're going to have a stream on Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and another stream on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'd tell you what we're going to be talking about there on those, but I have no idea yet. So hopefully it'll be something cool. We'll figure it out. We got to see what's working with the build and what isn't. And definitely we'll have more information on what's kind of going on, the status update on beta, and if we have a date and when we think we'll have a date and that type of thing, and all that stuff. So yeah, check that out. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Any last final points there, Claude?
Any other requests? No, nothing. Okay.
Multiverse, yes.
Multiverse, yeah. That's next stream maybe. Yeah, definitely keep following us and posting those awesome questions and stuff on your Reddit and all that goodness. We're just kind of, it's good to see what the community is thinking about before we release. So
yeah, your input is really important. So yeah, keep plugging away. All right, thanks guys.
Thanks.
Now we gotta be.